It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Tuesday, October 7th. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Mix of sun and clouds today. Another beauty, high 79. Tonight and overnight, some showers roll in, low 67. Then Wednesday, we'll have morning rain. Then sun and clouds in the afternoon, high 69. If you're walking out the door with us right now, 61 clear in Valley Cottage up in Rockland County. It's 58 and clear in Flemington over in New Jersey. And it's 64 and clear right outside our Midtown studios.
This is the Top 5 at 5.
Andrew Cuomo hit Zohran Mamdani hard over the company he keeps. Another kid brings a gun to school in Brooklyn. A New Jersey rabbi attacked outside his home. A Connecticut woman may have tried to poison her husband. And some Bronx neighbors need help fighting pigeon poop. Wait till you hear that story. 501, let's get into it. A 19-year-old stepson taken into custody on Staten Island yesterday after his 45-year-old stepfather found stabbed to death in their home. This was about 4:30 yesterday afternoon in the West Brighton section. They got a call from this 19-year-old's stepsister that she had found her father's body in a bathtub. He had been decapitated. Neighbors shocked by the viciousness of the crime.
The world is upside down. And this is like very horrible, Yes. To cut the head of a person, that's even to an animal, you don't do that.
Yeah, so they found the knife in the home. They were able to find the 19-year-old pretty quickly as well. His neighbor said they knew the father, but they did not know the stepkids.
I can't believe this name. It makes me want to leave. I'm not familiar with the stepson. I never saw him. I saw the father, but never the stepson. I don't know what to make of it. This is a shock.
Yeah, so unclear what led to the violent stabbing. Police sources say the stepson has no prior arrest. So far, he has not been charged, at least as of 5:02 this morning. Police say the stepson did have a history of mental illness. This according to cops. The investigation is ongoing. 5:02, out to Brooklyn, where a student brought a loaded gun to school there yesterday. Happened East Brooklyn High on Kings Highway in East Flatbush. Cops got a call from a school administrator. This was about 10 o'clock yesterday morning, saying a student reported that a classmate had a gun. Sources say the staff member took the student into a room, called 911, and when cops arrived, they found that loaded 9mm pistol. He was arrested without incident. Some parents who send their kids to this school say maybe it's time for some metal detectors to be set up.
Do these kids always have this on them? That's the thing. I think they should do more and start checking the kids. I wouldn't even mind that. Check my child. Check all of them.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Officials looking into how this student got the gun. It's not clear. Just last month, you'll remember, a student at Benjamin Cardozo High, that's in Bayside, Queens, arrested with a gun in school after allegedly threatened to shoot up the school. Thank God they found that gun before he could carry out that act. That school also does not have metal detectors. 5:03, another school incident, this one up in the Hudson Valley. 2 Mount Pleasant schools placed in lockdown yesterday afternoon. Parents told that they had gotten a threatening call, this school, around 2:45, Westlake Middle and High School. They didn't tell us what the nature of this threatening call was, but police raced in. And law enforcement later deemed it was a swatting call. This is one of these things where it's essentially a prank on the school, and they're almost impossible to trace these calls. Here were police yesterday.
Everyone is safe. We treat it as the real thing, and we're actively investigating it now as a terrorist threat.
But of course, they freak out everybody in the process, the parents, staff, students. In fact, so much so that all after-school activities were canceled yesterday because they didn't know what the heck was going on at that point. 5:04. Bad behavior at a Brooklyn Costco reportedly triggering a police investigation now.
Much of the incident is apparently on tape and online. That got the NYPD involved. The video shows 2 men in an aisle at the Sunset Park Costco just before 4 p.m. Sunday getting into an argument over a cart. The video shows one man hitting another. The 42-year-old victim then hit his head on a cart and had injuries to his forehead and eyelid. WABC TV reports store members say it's usually overcrowded, which makes shopping there more tense. No arrests yet. Andrew Whitman, NBC News Radio, New York.
WABC News Time 5:05. An investigation out on Long Island underway after a Nassau County Highway Patrol officer on a motorcycle seriously injured in a crash with a truck. This was during a funeral procession yesterday. It happened about 11:30 a.m. North Wellwood Avenue, Jerome Street, as Nassau officers were leading this funeral procession. After leaving a Roman Catholic church in the neighborhood, the Highway Patrol officer, Michael Hyland, was driving this 2020 Harley Davidson as part of the funeral procession when he collided with a Toyota truck. This was one of the eyewitnesses.
As a mother of a police officer, NYPD, as a wife of a retired police officer, I know the dangers, and it's very scary, but something that should have been such a nice day and a nice send-off. It's tragedy. There was quite a nice turnout for the Nassau County Police Department, and they happened to be right next door drinking coffee while they were waiting for the procession to start back out. So it's very sad.
Yeah, the 53-year-old officer rushed to Good Samaritan University Hospital in West Islip. Apparently pretty serious physical injuries. We couldn't get an update before we went to air, but we were told as of yesterday in critical condition. The driver who hit him, he's fine.
Most of the time people race through here and they start to slow down to get down that block.
Yeah.
And the people on this side continue on. And lots of times it's crashes right here.
Yeah, multiple neighbors complaining about this intersection where the accident took place yesterday. 5:06, Curtis Sliwa, did you hear him on with Sid and Friends in the morning yesterday? Dropping a bombshell that he's now getting death threats over his refusal to drop out of the race for mayor. The idea on some people's part is if he dropped out, his vote will go to Andrew Cuomo, who's second in the polls, and maybe Andrew Cuomo can beat Zohran Mamdani.
I now, for the first time, have armed security officers.
No.
Yep. Credible threats against me. These are lone wolf crazies, but they are being spurred on by this constant rhetoric that I got to drop out, that I'm selfish, that, I'm only doing this for myself.
Now, someone sent me this video. I'm not going to play it because I couldn't confirm it was legit, but it looked legit. It showed Curtis showing up at an event and this guy just screaming at him, get out of the race. And police have to keep this guy away. So it seems that these threats are really legitimate.
Calm the rhetoric down. The first time now that I've campaigned, I had no security in 2021. I had no security up until now. Over the weekend, I had to have armed security.
Wow.
Never happened. But I have to do this because he's a credible threat. So again, calm the rhetoric down.
Okay, coming up in the second half hour, there's a lot more accusations flying in the campaign for mayor. You're going to hear that coming up after 5:30. WABC News Time 5:09. Dueling government funding bills down in D.C., both failing in the Senate yesterday as the government remains shut down, which is now, this is day 7.
On this vote, the yeas are 52 and the nays are 42. 3/5 of the Senate duly chosen and sworn not having voted in the affirmative. The motion is not agreed to.
Yeah, that's what it sounded like. One was a Republican bill that had already passed through the House, while the other backed by Democrats. Two pieces of legislation have now both failed to pass several times. President Trump asked about trying to reach a deal with Democrats.
We can have a much better health care than we have right now. And we're talking to him. I mean, I'm not saying that's going to happen because this has also been going on, not for 3,000 years, but it's been going on for a long time.
House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries talking about the fact that they're worried about the Affordable Care Act tax credits not being renewed. Top Republicans on Capitol Hill vowed not to cave into those demands for health care funding. But here was the president yesterday signaling that maybe they can start talking about it.
I want to see great health. I'm a Republican, but I want to see health care much more so than the Democrats. I will say this, just hang in there because I think a lot of good things are going to happen. That's all I can say.
And as all that is happening, you had the Transportation Secretary, Sean Duffy. He was at Newark Airport yesterday saying air traffic controllers are more stressed than ever due to the federal government shutdown. Duffy saying that air traffic controllers that he spoke to yesterday are worried about whether they'll get a paycheck next week.
Now what they think about as they're controlling our airspace is, how am I going to pay my mortgage? How do I make my car payment? I have a couple kids at home. How do I put food on the table?
Okay, so there he was holding this press conference at Newark Airport talking about the fact that air traffic controllers are stressed that they're not going to get a paycheck. Some are calling out sick. So then reporters said, well, are the skies safe despite this uptick in controllers calling out sick?
I want to be clear. Do I think they're more stressed right now in our towers? Yes. Is our airspace unsafe? No. Right? If we think there's issues in the airspace, we will shut it down.
Now, they are essential employees. They have to show up for work with or without a paycheck, and their own union actually yesterday reminding them of that. Meanwhile, the situation is causing fear and uncertainty among federal workers. And remember, the president said that some of these furloughs could be permanent.
We had to pinch every penny, my family. You know, we had to buckle down and only spend on the necessities.
Yeah, for the second time in 7 years, that's James Jones with the National Park Service. It's been furloughed. Many furloughed federal employees have also been warned they could lose their jobs altogether. California has the most federal workers outside of D.C. with nearly 150,000 employees, and that's where this guy is.
Some of us may not even come back, to work when the government shutdown's over, and that's pretty scary for a lot of people.
Yeah, and you had first son, Eric Trump, doubling down on this idea that the shutdown could trigger firing of these non-essential government employees. Here's what he had to say yesterday.
I think he fully plans to use the government shutdown where necessary to take out agencies and people that are working against the United States of America.
Yeah, so he says, his father could conduct these mass firings of non-essential employees if the shutdown continues.
Yeah, well, I think he's planning to do exactly that.
5:13. While we're down in Washington, President Trump now says he's not ruling out using the Insurrection Act to crack down on crime in cities run by Democrats.
If I had to enact it, I'd do that. If people were being killed and courts were holding us up, or governors or mayors were holding us up, sure, I'd do that.
The president says he'd invoke the 19th century law if it was necessary. The Insurrection Act of 1807, it allows a president to deploy the military to suppress armed rebellion or civil unrest. It was last year's 1992 during the Los Angeles riots.
Well, I'd do it if it was necessary. So far, it hasn't been necessary, but we have an Insurrection Act for a reason. I want to make sure that people aren't killed. We have to make sure that our cities are safe.
Meanwhile, the top cop in Chicago defending his officers who assisted ICE agents over the weekend.
So although we do not engage in immigration enforcement, we are going to enforce the law when the laws are violated.
That's the Chicago police superintendent. There was a handful of violent skirmishes between federal agents and anti-ICE protesters over the weekend that involved Chicago police officers. The head of police there says that while his officers are not involved in immigration enforcement, he says they'll always protect ICE officers. And he said they did the right thing.
We have a great partnership with our federal agents, and we still do, and we will continue to work with them around violent crime. One thing about law enforcement, I'll tell you this right now, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. But we accept that.
Yeah, he's right about that. In a moment, we're going to go out to Oregon. We'll continue this story where the White House is blasting this Trump-appointed judge that blocked the president's deployment of federal troops to Oregon. We'll get into that story in just a moment. But first, 5:15, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk. Good morning, Justin Ella.
Good morning to you, Noam Layden. Starting on the gridiron, just going over some scores from yesterday and look ahead to some baseball action today. But we'll start on the gridiron. Your final from Monday Night Football last night out in Jacksonville. The Jaguars, up to 4-1 now on the year, beating the Kansas City Chiefs 31-28. I don't know if you caught any of this game, Noam Layden, and I doubt that you did, but that game-winning touchdown there from Trevor Lawrence fell, taking the snap, fell twice actually, tripped and fell, dropping back, looked like he was going to drop back to hand it off or even for a quick little pass, and then ends up getting up, gathering himself, and running for what was really a gritty, tough touchdown, getting into the end zone, giving the Jaguars a big win there. And they are a good team this year, man. Years past, they just haven't had it, obviously, since they drafted Lawrence. Been waiting for him to develop. But up to 4-1 now. You got to look out now for Jacksonville, and the Chiefs dropped to 2-3.
Yeah, so as part of this, though, Kansas City's just not as good of a team as they used to be?
I think so, but still they've yet to get back a couple of pieces on offense. So you got to wait. They've gotten Xavier Worthy back, but they still need Rashee Rice back from his suspension, and he's another high top-end receiver. So, that could change some things on offense. But, again, you're giving up 31 points on Monday Night Football. That's a defensive issue. Offense can't do much about that. So now I got to look at the turnover differential from last night as well, because that's obviously a big teller of who wins and loses football games in this day and age, or any day and age. But, I just don't think they're the Chiefs of years past. And that was bound to happen eventually, Noam Laden.
Yeah, of course.
Your finals from around MLB yesterday, a division series out in Philadelphia, the Dodgers and the Phillies. Dodgers beating the Phillies 4-3. LA now leads that series 2-0. Doesn't look like Philly's going to really be able to figure out LA here. Close game, but again, dropping to a 2-0 deficit there. And your final from Milwaukee, the Brewers beating the Cubs 7-3. Milwaukee leads that series 2-0 this afternoon. 4:08 p.m. first pitch out in Detroit. The Mariners and the Tigers will get Game 3 of that. ALDS underway. That series is knotted at 1 game apiece. And tonight, 8:08 p.m. first pitch, the big one we're all looking forward to, the Yankees and Blue Jays. Yanks back home now, up against the wall. Elimination game, down 2-0. Game 3 against Toronto tonight. And Carlos Rodon, the lefty, will get the start there. That's your sports, Noam, and I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
WABC News Time 519. The White House blasting the Trump-appointed judge, blocking the president's deployment of federal troops to Oregon. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt telling reporters the judge's opinion is untethered in reality and in law.
The president is using his authority as Commander-in-Chief, U.S. Code 12406, which clearly states that the president has the right to call up the National Guard in cases where he deems it's appropriate.
Now, Leavitt says local officials in Portland want the president to deploy the National Guard to fight crime, and they're appealing her decision. Meanwhile, Illinois, Chicago taking legal action in an effort to block President Trump's deployment of National Guard troops into the Windy City. More from that.
The president wants to ensure that our federal buildings and our assets are protected, and that's exactly what he's trying to do. We are appealing that decision. As you know, we expect a hearing on it pretty quickly, and we're very confident in the president's legal authority to do this, and we're very confident we will win on the merits of the law.
While we're hearing from Caroline Leavitt, a little bit more from her, the White House says all sides have agreed to the framework of President Trump's Gaza peace plan. The White House press secretary telling reporters that Hamas met Trump's deadline to respond to his peace proposal and that talks are going pretty well.
What we saw take place on Friday, and I have not commented on that from the podium yet, is truly remarkable. You've seen all sides of this conflict agree that this war needs to end.
And Leavitt says the White House's top priority is to get Hamas to release the Israeli hostages.
The president wants to see a ceasefire. He wants to see the hostages released, and the technical teams are discussing that as we speak. It's very important, as I just mentioned, that we get this done quickly. That's how the president's team feels, so we can get some momentum, get the hostages out.
Yeah, so officials representing Israel and Hamas meeting in Egypt with U.S. officials for negotiations. Now, Israel and Hamas are not having direct negotiations, but all three sides are in Egypt to talk. And, of course, today, October 7th, the second anniversary of the October 7th attacks, Hamas's attack on Israel. New Jersey Congressman Josh Gottheimer talking about that and also about these peace talks. He says that he's pushing through this bipartisan legislation that would mandate the U.S. Holocaust Memorial Museum create curriculum to teach students about the October 7th attacks.
With the terrorists laying down their arms and governing power and Israel pulling back to their borders. It seems like we still have a ways to go, but we must remain vigilant and stand together to see how those rays of hope fully shine through.
Yes, so you have both the Jewish community and Palestinian community feeling hopeful that maybe this is the breakthrough for peace.
In the last days, We've seen skies of peace in the distance. I'm very hopeful with the potential for a new hostage deal and peace in the region.
Yeah, so Gottheimer says the one troubling part about this is in the year following the attacks of October 7th, the U.S. has seen a 200% spike in anti-Semitic hate acts across the country and in New Jersey. 522, rescue efforts are continuing on Mount Everest, where some 200 people have been stranded. Correspondent Camila Bernal has more.
A desperate rush to rescue hundreds of hikers stuck near the world's tallest mountain. A blizzard left nearly 1,000 people trapped on Tibet's eastern slope of Mount Everest, according to Chinese state media.
So we're being told hundreds of hikers have been evacuated. Others remain after the unusually strong snowfall caught these local guides off guard.
The monsoon causing snowfall Friday evening and Saturday, also bringing heavy rain to neighboring Nepal. The army called in for rescues. Landslides and flash floods have killed at least 44 people, according to authorities. Hiker Chen Gu Shuang made it out, but some in her group still recovering from hypothermia. She says the unexpected snowstorm was really frightening, adding she worried that lightning might strike their camp and kill them.
Yeah, we're hearing from one mountaineer, Coach Alan Arnett, who has climbed Mount Everest, says guides, hikers, it's just totally surprised by the weather.
Normally, we don't see this type of heavy disaster happening this time of year, especially a blizzard of this magnitude.
Yeah, monsoon brought landslides, flash flooding to neighboring Nepal. 524, let's bring it back home out to Indianapolis. Former Jets quarterback, sports analyst Mark Sanchez now facing upgraded charges connected to his fight and arrest in downtown Indianapolis over the weekend. The Indianapolis police chief says Sanchez is being charged with battery, which could mean several years in prison if he's found guilty.
I don't care who you are. I don't care what you do for a living. I don't care where you live. If you come into our city, commit violence, we will use all the tools at our disposal to hold you accountable.
Yeah, this is a strange story that we totally don't have all the details on, but he got into some sort of fight with a guy who owns a grease truck and was just doing his job in downtown Indianapolis. That individual, who's 69 years old, pulled out a knife during the fight and stabbed Sanchez in the chest. He has not been charged, so maybe that tells you everything. No charges against him, but lots of charges against Sanchez.
This is a level 5 felony, 1 to 6 years. One of the statutory aggravators is the age of the victim, and certainly that is something that the judge could consider when they're imposing a sentence.
Now that individual, the truck driver, is now suing Sanchez and Fox Sports, who Sanchez was working for. His family did make a statement yesterday, his brother saying that they support their brother, and they're hoping to get more details on exactly what took place. 525, this year's Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine's been awarded to 3 people for the discoveries about the human immune system.
Mary Branco, Fred Ramsdell, and Shimon Sakaguchi have provided fundamental knowledge of how the immune system is regulated and are therefore awarded this year's Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine.
One of the individuals is from San Francisco. The other 2 are one from Japan and one from Sweden.
We have their phone numbers, but they're probably on silent mode, and I asked them to, if they have a chance, call me back.
Yeah, that's him trying to get in touch with his friends who worked on all this. The committee member says the discoveries could lead to developments in the treatment of autoimmune disorders and cancer.
It's a fundamental discovery about the principle that sort of keeps our immune system in check. Very important for not having us all develop autoimmune disorders. By this knowledge, we have new ideas to explore, and there's early stages, and it takes a long while to develop new therapeutics. But of course, we have a new handle on how to attack these problems.
Yeah, the award ceremony will be held in December. 526, nobody injured in either of 2 hot air balloons that hit power lines and crashed in Albuquerque yesterday.
One went down near Paseo del Norte and Edith, with the second crashing just a bit south of there, near First and Roll Road Northwest. The electric company powering New Mexico confirming there were brief outages when crews removed the canopies from power lines. The balloons were part of the Albuquerque International Balloon Festival. I'm David Kale.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Tuesday, October 7th. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. A mix of sun and clouds today, high 79. Tonight and overnight, we'll have some showers, low 67. And then Wednesday, you'll have morning rain, sun and clouds in the afternoon, high 69. If you are walking out the door with us right now, so happy you are. 61 and clear in Valley Cottage up in Rockland County. It's 58 and clear in Flemington over in New Jersey. And it's 64 and clear right outside our Midtown studios. WABC News Time 538. Let's go out to the campaign for Mayor Andrew Cuomo, launching this scathing attack on Zohran Mamdani yesterday for posing with an official from Uganda who pushed a law to put gay people in jail for life. Cuomo yesterday during this press conference using names like Mansion Boy and Champagne Socialist to describe Zohran Mamdani. And in this picture, he's with this female Ugandan official who led this year-long campaign to crack down on gay people in our country. And so the question Andrew Cuomo's been asking is, why would you pose with somebody like that? And he also asked, why does Zohran Mamdani still have a citizenship with Uganda?
Nobody would accuse Zohran Mamdani.
Oh, that's Curtis Sliwa. Let's see if we can get Andrew Cuomo, maybe?
It would be a total act of hypocrisy to be a citizen of a country that abuses LGBTQ people.
Okay, and then you had Curtis Sliwa, who you were there for a second. He defended Zohran Mamdani, saying he didn't think he was anti-LGBTQ.
Nobody would accuse Zohran Mamdani of being homophobic or anti-gay or lesbian or transgender. I would think the right thing to do would be sell your property. The government there has clearly made its choice. They don't want gays and lesbians.
And then Curtis Sliwa yesterday picked up an endorsement from Rudy Giuliani. Rudy Giuliani has his own YouTube show, and this is what it sounded like last night.
100% Curtis Sliwa. Curtis Sliwa has been a hero for New York from the time almost he was born. I know him almost since he was born. I remember when he started the Guardian Angels. I was the U.S. attorney, and the police, my wonderful police, they weren't so wonderful then because they were being tortured, didn't like him because they were embarrassed. He was doing what they should be doing, and the mayor used to go after him, Koch, and I used to protect him.
The former mayor says, he's seen other Republicans endorse Andrew Cuomo, and he says that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to him.
Can he be a mayor? Can he govern? Can he manage? He runs an international organization. That's one of the best in the world. You're damn right he can govern, and now I'm going to put him on, and you're going to get to meet him.
And then while all this is going on, the actual mayor of New York City right now, Eric Adams, who, of course, dropped out of the race last week, he's not even in the country. He's left for a few days. On Monday, the mayor took off for a 4-day visit to Albania. At the invitation of that country's prime minister, a spokesman says he'll visit business and tech leaders in an effort to direct more economic activity and tourism back here to New York City. 541. Cops have a homicide investigation underway after they were called to an apartment in Brownsville, Brooklyn, where a baby boy was taken to the hospital and later pronounced dead. Now, this happened on Friday, so I'm not clear why the details are just being released, but the boy has been identified as 1-year-old Anthony Casey. Police say they were called to his Newport Street apartment. This was about 5 o'clock on Friday evening. He was unresponsive when EMS arrived. They took him to the hospital where he later died. Neighbors were asked, do you know this mom? Here's what they had to say.
That's really sad. I mean, for any child harm is very sad.
And then what police sources are telling us is they later found that there was trauma to this boy's stomach. They also say the mother is denying any involvement, at least at this point, in his death. 542. An 11-year-old girl hoping to send an urgent message to young children across the city. She is the sister of one of the 2 teenage girls who were killed in a subway surfing accident over the weekend. She spoke to Eyewitness News. Her name is Marianne Mukhtarov. And it was her 12-year-old sister, Zemfira, who was one of the 2 girls who were killed on that train near the Marcy Avenue station in Brooklyn on early Saturday morning. Again, Eyewitness News spoke with her yesterday.
And I was like, look, that's her skateboard and that's her coach bag. And I'm like, that's her.
Yeah, the soon-to-be 13-year-old had been killed subway surfing on a J train. It was 3 a.m. Apparently, she says her sister and her were at home having dinner, and they had been in some sort of fight. And then she says her sister snuck out in the middle of the night with somebody that she had met on social media, and that's when they went subway surfing.
She didn't talk to me because she got mad at me, so she kind of ignored me that night, which is kind of sad. I feel like it's God's plan to take her. What if he needs her really badly?
Yeah, so the young 11-year-old girl now trying to cope with the fact that she's lost her sister.
My mom, she has this lady, and she was talking to my sister through the spirit box, and she's been sending a lot of messages to me don't miss me, don't cry, I hate to see you cry, so everything's okay, I'm happy, I'll come back soon.
The family has started a GoFundMe page to help with this sudden loss, and that same sister, who sounds much older than 11 years old, is just telling other kids, don't do it.
I'm don't do it, because it's just not worth it.
Yeah. 544, let's go up to Connecticut, where a woman there is accused of trying to fatally poison her romantic partner. She's being held on $1 million bail today. State police arrested Kristen Hogan, charged her with attempted murder for allegedly mixing an ingredient that's found in antifreeze into wine. The victim drank it, making him desperately ill at their home in Ridgefield. Court records show the 33-year-old victim and his wife were in a bitter custody battle involving their 2-year-old daughter. Now, a former prosecutor looked at these charges and says he really has never seen a case like this before.
I'd like to say that in all of my years in being a prosecutor that I've seen everything, but this is one of those that I thought I saw everything, but I really didn't.
So she slipped, allegedly, the chemical into a bottle of wine. 2 days later, the victim drank the wine, and within hours, he was at the hospital and put on dialysis for poisoning. Lab results confirmed the poisoning, and that's when the arrest was made.
There were searches for different chemicals, how much of a certain type of chemical could kill you, so you could kind of see the mindset and the planning that was going on.
Now we're waiting for all the charges to come in. Meanwhile, that woman's sitting in jail. In a moment, we'll go out to New Jersey, where a rabbi was attacked over the weekend. We have more details on that attack. We'll get to that in just a moment. But first, 546, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk, and here's Justin Ellick.
Thank you, Noam Layden. We'll start here with your Monday Night Football recap from last night. Jaguars beating the Chiefs out in Jacksonville. They moved to 4-1 with their 31-28 victory over the now 2-3 Kansas City Chiefs. Big win there for Trevor Lawrence and his surging Jaguars. And to the diamond here from Philadelphia, Dodgers beating the Phillies in the NLDS there 4-3 last night. Dodgers now leading that series 2-0. Phillies in quite a hole there. And out in Milwaukee, Brewers beating up on the Cubs 7-3. Milwaukee jumps out to a commanding 2-0 series lead in that NLDS. Looking ahead to MLB action tonight, the ALDS between the Mariners and the Tigers resumes with Game 3. First pitch, 4:08 p.m. That series knotted at a game apiece. And tonight, the big one here locally, our Yankees are back home at Yankee Stadium, maybe for the final time this season.
Really?
Well, I don't want to be all sad and depressing about it, but that's the reality.
You don't think they're going to win tonight?
Well, that's the reality of the situation. I said maybe. That's the reality of the situation.
So you seem pretty definite about it.
I said maybe. Okay. What does maybe mean to you? What does it mean to you? I mean, they could win.
Give me a score. What's the final score going to be?
I think the Yankees win tonight.
So why did you say that?
I said maybe.
Sound a little more hopeful.
They're going to win tonight 6-4.
Okay. Who's pitching tonight?
Carlos Rodon.
Oh, all right.
But I think he'll go a very strong 6 2/3 innings and get yanked early by Boone, but it actually won't come back to bite Boone in the ass tonight. And the bullpen will kind of figure it out, give up a few runs here and there, but the Yankees will build a big enough lead for Rodon where they'll be able to hold on.
Okay, so if they win 6-4 tonight, do they play again tomorrow night?
Yes. Back at the stadium.
Okay, and then if it goes 5 games, is it 3 nights in a row, or is there a day off?
I think it's 3 nights in a row. No. It goes back.
They have to go back
To
to Toronto,
yeah, it goes
right.
because it's a
So it's gotta
5-game
be a
set,
day
so
off.
2, and then 1. Yep.
Okay.
And then you got to go back to Toronto for Game 5.
All right, 1 game at a time.
That's it. That's what Boone's saying in the clubhouse there. Or he's saying, well, Max Fried might need you 6 or 7 more times, so we're not going to do the 1 game at a time thing. I know we might only be playing 1 more game, but we might need you 6 or 7 times more down the road in these playoffs. So we're going to play this game like it's not our last game of the season. How about that?
Okay.
All right.
6-4. That's the final.
That's your sports.
How wild it would be if you get that right.
I will. I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC 5.
WABC News Time 5:50. Let's head out to New Jersey, where a man there facing charges for allegedly attacking a rabbi in Bergenfield, and what investigators are now calling a random act of violence. Bergenfield police say the attack happened Sunday in the area of Sussex Roads. No words were exchanged prior to it, and there's no indication at this point that it was motivated by hate.
Just because it did not meet the criteria of a biased crime, it met the criteria of an assault.
What police are telling us is Rabbi Avraham Wein was standing outside of his house with his wife when this individual, Jeffrey Zichinella, pulled up, got out of his car, attacked the rabbi. Thankfully, 2 neighbors were nearby. They tackled Zichinella, and the incident, of course, has left many people in this neighborhood surprised.
And there was a couple ambulances, a couple of cop cars. It's sad, because it is a quiet neighborhood.
Zichinella has now been charged with 2 counts of simple assault. He's being held in the Bergen County Jail. Out to Long Island, where a police officer in critical condition after an accident during a funeral procession on Monday.
Suffolk County Police say Nassau County Patrol Officer Michael Highland was on a motorcycle during the procession through Lindenhurst just after 11 a.m. Monday. They say when the funeral group reached Jerome Street while heading up North Wellwood Avenue, Highland's Harley collided with a pickup truck. No details on his specific injuries. He's critical. The truck driver, Jeffrey Geller, was not hurt. No word if the 61-year-old will face charges. Police are asking anyone with information about what happened to reach out. Andrew Whitman, NBC News Radio, New York.
From Long Island, let's head over to the campus of Columbia University on the Upper West Side, where a memorial to the victims of the October 7th attacks in Israel now in place at Columbia University. There are 1,205 white chairs, each with a picture on it. The display represents every person killed in the Hamas terror attack. The organizers were the roommate of one of the victims, David Newman. Maybe you heard it. They were on with Sid yesterday on Sid and Friends in the Morning, a group called Let's Do Something. Here is David Newman's friend who solicited and asked Columbia University to do this memorial and got the okay from them.
This has happened all across the world and all across America, and I think
he's talking about some of the hatred after the attacks.
Part of it has been here at Columbia, at Butler Lawn, and there are 2 types of people in the world, those who destroy and those who build things up, and we've seen a lot of destruction happening around here.
The tribute is on Columbia Central Lawn in the exact same spot where it used to be a pro-Palestinian tent city. Meanwhile, New Jersey Congressman Josh Gottheimer introducing bipartisan October 7th Remembrance Education Act exactly 2 years after the attack. He says the measure would direct the U.S. Holocaust Memorial Museum to build a model curriculum for kids on October 7th.
We don't want our kids to learn about October 7th or about the Holocaust or about any atrocity in American or world history from TikTok.
Yeah, he says students should not be learning from TikTok. Unfortunately, many do.
Education must be part of our response. The actual facts, not some fiction spread on social media.
Now, 5:53. MTA is holding a public hearing today over 2 proposed road safety programs.
And one of those programs is the Weigh in Motion program, which uses roadway sensors and cameras to weigh vehicles, resulting in fines to the owners of overweight trucks. Right now, there's a pilot program on the RFK Bridge. The other program, Work Zone Speed Enforcement, in which drivers caught going 10 miles or more over the speed limit in work zones will face a fine. Cameras for the program would be turned on only while road crews are working. James Flippin for 77 WABC News.
WABC News Time 554. The FDNY's campaign to help save lives is underway.
It's called Get Alarmed NYC, where the FDNY offers free smoke detectors and installation by officials to help keep New Yorkers safe from fires. The program started in 2015 after a fire in Brooklyn that killed 7 children sleeping in their home. The fire started by a malfunctioning hot plate. Since August, the American Red Cross, the FDNY, and the FDNY Foundation have been installing free smoke alarms in homes across the 5 boroughs. They hope to give out 15,000 alarms in 1 year. To find out more, you can visit fdnysmart.org. Lisa G., 77 WABC News.
Up to the Hudson Valley, Pleasantville, where a bear was spotted roaming through a bunch of neighborhoods over the weekend. Police finally caught up with it. They had to shoot it with a dart to knock it out and then move the bear to a place where, things are better for the bear than a suburban neighborhood.
I went to the window. We saw police first, and then we saw the black bears, right over there, behind trees. Yeah. And that's the only thing I saw.
I just hear a lot of noise outside. I look outside, I just see cops. And I just see a bear in my backyard just right there. I was just like, yo, what is going on?
Yeah, these bear, of course, human interactions happening all too often now. And we'll end with this story. Pigeons, or a group of pigeons, causing all kinds of problems outside of a building in the Fordham section of the Bronx. Someone had sent me pictures of this, so we did a little investigation of people coming in and out of the apartment building on East 187th Street and Park Avenue with umbrellas, and it's not raining. And the reason they're coming out with the umbrellas is because the piles of poop are coming down on them for pigeons above, and they can't figure out how to chase these pigeons away.
And you could track this in your home. It's not good.
And every time I walk out the building, I gotta lift up the umbrella so I won't get bird poop on me.
Yeah, and these tenants say it's just disgusting, and they've asked the landlord to fix the problem, but nothing's happened.
I'm inhaling this. This is not good.
No.
I have to wear a mask. You have seniors that live in the building. You have young people with children, and it's nasty. In order for us to step out, we need an umbrella.
Yeah, so these pictures, you have to see this. I mean, people walk out the front door, they open the umbrella, it's bright sunshine outside, and then they invariably get hit by these pigeons. So we're calling out Bold Property Management, which oversees this building. Fix the problem. If you're collecting money from these tenants, let them live in a halfway decent home.
Have someone come out and do a power wash and
Yes.
take care of this infestation.
Yeah, all right. Bold Property Management, you heard me. Fix the problem.
Thanks for listening to the News Hour with Noam Laden. You can hear the News Hour with Noam Laden weekday mornings at 5 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode, so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?